Hello, friends. Welcome to the Motivation Broadcast here in beautiful Savannah, Georgia. I want to talk about a topic this week for the motivational 10-minute ticker, and it's called the ministry. It's no marvel why we as Africans and African Americans in this country or black people that we follow all different types of denominations and different types of religions and different types of doctrine. You know what? That's what happens when a group of people are stripped away from their total history and their total ancestry, and I understand that. But today we have a vast amount of information that will lead us to truth. And any true called and chosen believer, any true follower of Hamashiach, the Messiah, should be wanting to search for truth. As I said before, and I always say that you cannot worship Yahuwah in spirit only or in truth only. We must combine the two together, and we must worship in spirit and in truth. Glory be to his name. Okay. So I want to talk about the ministry. The ministry. All right. Because there are not all these different branches. This is what got us so far off track today. All these different ministries. When you hear a individual or a pastor or a bishop, whether they are well known or not known at all, and they start speaking in terms of my ministry, my ministry, Bobby Jones ministry, Creflo Dollar ministry, or, Joel Osteen ministry. When you start claiming their own ministry, that should be an indication to you that this person is probably false. Glory be to his name. This person is probably false. And the reason why is because there is no independent ministry that can be head up by Yahuwah or by the Son, the head of the church, you see, which is Hamashiach. Okay? Now, there's no such thing as that. If you read in the scripture, it always speaks in terms of one body, of one faith, of one baptism, of the ministry. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The ministry. Okay? So this is where we should strive to be. The scripture wants us to be united. Yahuwah teaches his people to be united. All those who have been called and chosen are to be united, okay, by this one body. Now, before you go there, I know what you're talking about. You want to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, where you see Brother Shaul, or you may refer to him as Paul, all right, talking about their different administrations and different operations, but they're all by the same Spirit and they're all by the same Father. Well, if you read further down, you'll see he's talking about the gifts, okay, gifts of discernment, gifts of healing, gifts of wisdom, and the interpretation of those gifts. Okay, they're not talking about different ministries right there. They're talking about the same thing, the ministry. You see, in order for us to ever move forward, we as the true called and chosen assembly must get on one accord. You hear what I'm saying to you today? We must get on one accord. And the way to do that is we have to get back to the ministry. Okay? You have to ask yourself some tough questions these days if you're an African or a black person in this country. How is it that you got to believe the way that you do? Why do you worship the way that you do? Why do you follow the religion that you do? Who told you you were a Baptist or a Pentecostal or a holiness or a Lutheran or Methodist, Seventh-day Adventist, or Jehovah's Witness? Who told you that? Why is it black man, black woman, okay, man of color, woman of color? Why do you believe the way that you do? Why do you believe the things that you do? Where did this come from? Okay. Now, if you can't trace it back to this scripture, then you're probably in a false ministry and under false teaching. Glory be to his name. Do you hear what I'm telling you today? So I want to read from the verse of Ephesians, okay, in the book of Ephesians, and I'm going to be in chapter 4, okay, and I'm going to read verse 11, all right, because there's many places we can go to verify and solidify the point of there is only one ministry, there is only one church, that is the church, and all these different branches that we've branched off into were all man-made, okay, and have nothing to do with what we're supposed to be worshiping as the scripture. So let me read here in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11. I'm going to start out. It says, and he gave some apostles. He is the Christ, or which I call the Messiah. And he gave some apostles and some prophets, and he gave some evangelists and some pastors and some teachers. Okay, this is what he gave. Why? For the perfecting, I'm in verse 12, of the saints. For the perfecting of the saints. You see, the saints need perfected because we are all on this journey of enlightenment. Okay, once you have been called and chosen, as we continue to grow in Yahuwah, we will continue to expand, and he will reveal things to us in due time, in set times, individually. Okay, some things he reveals individually, some things he reveals, on a more broad scale. But there's always growing up in the Father, this continued growth. Okay, so he says, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry. There you go, right there. For the work of the ministry. What ministry is he speaking of? He's speaking of the ministry that he has given to his people. Yahuwah has given his called and chosen the ministry. And that's what we all are a part of. Okay, united. Okay, he says, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry. Look, for the edifying of the body of Hamashiach, for the building up of the body of the Messiah. Okay, you got to remember that Yahuwah is the head of the Messiah, and the Messiah Hamashiach is the head of the church, and the body of the church, or that church body, is you and I, the called and chosen. See, those that are called and chosen, that is the body. Now, if anybody is to be grafted in, they don't come in with their own expectations and their own ministry. They join the ministry that is built solid and founded upon the Messiah. Do you understand what I'm telling you today? Okay, so let's keep reading here. It says, for the edifying of the body of Hamashiach, 13. Look at this. Till we all come in the unity. You see that? Of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of Yahuwah, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of the Messiah. Glory be to his name. You see, the scriptures teach us that we ought to be unified under one body, one faith, okay, and work in the ministry. This is the ministry. It is not all these different types of ministries with their own values and moral system trying to use the scripture as the foundation, or what they call the bylaws of their own ministry. And the sooner that the called and chosen of this world start working together, okay, to understand this, the better off we'll be. Well, let's read 13. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, 14. It says that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. See, many folks have lied in wait to deceive the black man, and it has been done. As you can see, I can get into all different type of things in places that we're broke. We already understand we're broken economically as black people. We're broken spiritually. We don't know who to follow. I'm talking about as the masses, not just individuals, okay? We're broken morally. Our value system is a little bit out of whack right now, okay? We're broken politically. There's no one to speak on your behalf as a true called and chosen believer and follower of the kingdom. There's no one to speak on your behalf. So we're broken politically. But there's a way out of this, and that way is the Most High, and heeding the call and being obedient to his call of the ministry, okay? The ministry. Study your scripture. Grow up in the Father. Grow in the knowledge of who you are, and you will begin to experience the bountiful blessings and empowerment of the Most High. Glory be to his name. Well, my friends, I want you to join me next week for another motivational broadcast, 10-minute ticker, where we'll get deeper into some other things. Until then, be empowered, my friend.